Vivek, correct me if I'm wrong, but you did state that you thought it was a mistake for us to have pulled out of the TPP. And I think, actually, let me not think anything. Why don't you explain your reasons for why that is?
Yes, I don't want to be defensive and say the same thing. I think it was maybe pulled out of context. I also am a guy who speaks very freely, and so I will accept responsibility if I wasn't clear. But here is my actual view, okay? I am very serious about independence from China. That's, I think, the top foreign policy objective. We cannot be dependent on our enemy for our modern way of life. And as much as I would wish for us to immediately snap a finger and wave a magic wand to have all of those supply chains and all of those trade agreements immediately eviscerated and come back to the United States to be onshored, I just do not think that is going to happen, but for a few years. I think it's going to take at least a minimum a few years to get there. And so in the meantime, if we're really serious about cutting the cord, if we're really serious about declaring independence, as I believe we must vis-a-vis China, then I think it will require trade agreements with Japan, South Korea, India, Vietnam, Australia, and otherwise. Let me be very clear about what I stand on what those should look like. And here in quick conversations, I haven't been as clear. But I think at best, those should be bilateral trade agreements. What happens with these multilateral trade agreements is you do get a lot of baggage around climate change. So if I have the choice between, if Trump was going to exit the TPP and we're serious about getting independent of China, I think the best answer is to enter bilateral trade agreements on our own terms with each of them. Now, I believe using the silver lining of Trump having exited the TPP to re-enter bilateral trade agreements, as we've done, by the way, we switched from NAFTA to the U.S.-Mexico or the U.S. Mexico-Canada agreement, the MCA, which actually does have the effect of bringing up wages in Mexico. So this shows that we can actually re-enter trade agreements, not just by severing them, but on fairer terms that do allow U.S. companies to compete, because wages have risen in Mexico post-NAFTA, now in the MCA. And I think we can at least borrow from those same principles with Japan, South Korea, and others, which don't play by the same set of rules, but I believe are a necessary part of a true and serious strategy to declare independence from China. And I am very serious about that.
So Rogan, what do you think about that?
Well, I think he's effectively completely flip-flopping from what he said on the Twitter space with Elon Musk a week and a half ago. He said Trump getting us out of the TPP was a bad move, and he would re-enter us into the TPP. He would try and make certain different arrangements to make it better, but he effectively wanted to re-enter into Obama's TPP that Trump shut down, which was a multilateral trade agreement. I agree on bilateral, but it sounds like he's flip-flopping. We have the recording. I sent it to you, Candace. I don't know if you have it. But it does sound like you backtrack.
I'm not flip-flopping, but I am being more precise. Actually, I'll tell you who called me right afterwards is Mike Lee, a good, friend in the Senate, et cetera, is he said, listen up. I think that your point on China is correct, but you got to be more precise in talking about the importance of bilateral. And the way I was talking about it, again, this is a little bit airlifted. This was in the context of everywhere I've talked about this, declaring independence from China. I don't
Can I play the clip? It's 20 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're gonna cite my imprecision. Go for it. But I'm going to tell you exactly where I'm at.
Ready? This is the Twitter space with Elon from a week and a half ago.
By the way, a policy that I think is also really important that goes straight along with it is re-entering the Pacific trade relationships around the rest of the rim of the Pacific. The CPTPP.
Around the rest of the rim.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different than what, the course of action taken by Trump in exiting the TPP. I think that was actually
maybe
a poor
one
decision.
That makes more sense for the.
By the way.
So I think that I can use the leverage of the fact that we did exit it to be able to say, all right, here's what we need done differently in a number of the countries from Japan on down, to be able to say, here's how we re-enter that on fairer terms. And so that's what I'd like to see. And
we should re-enter it and renegotiate
re-enter
it.
the trade relationships. So Rogan, I'm glad you played it. When I said what that goes right along with it, what is it? Declaring independence from China. It's my view, and I think Trump in a second term would, I hope, do this as well.
TPP isn't a deal with China, though.
I know, exactly.